Captain Agarwal, for joining in. I read your post on X, in fact, and I'd like you to tell us what is that special moment that you talk about which has been permanently etched in your memory.
Namaskar. Thank you so much for having me here. But it's been a tough night ever since we all heard the news. I think in many, many ways, sometimes you don't have relationships which link to you by blood, but sometimes you have relationships and you get inspired by people in more ways than one, where they touch your lives in so many ways that they actually just become like your family members. So ever since last night, ever since I've heard the news, I felt like I lost one of my family members, and I wouldn't be wrong to say the entire nation or entire world feels the same. You have to meet him to realize what is so special about him. He is such a humble person. I think the most humble person I've ever met in my whole life. And he comes across as one of us, but he is so much more. He inspires you. He will motivate you to the next level when you meet him. Just his aura, I think it's a privilege for me to be born in the same era. And I feel incredibly blessed and honored to meet someone as legendary as him. And I'm
You
forever
know,
grateful for
you are
that.
the right person to, in fact, speak to about Mr. Tata's own contribution to the aviation sector. But before I do that, you know, to our viewers, we are currently showing on the screen that very heartwarming picture of yours with Mr. Ratan Tata. Tell us and share with us that moment which you've managed to capture with Mr. Ratan Tata and what exactly happened, because we can see he's being so humble and he's standing behind you over there. Do share with us that anecdote. All right, we seem to have lost that connection with Captain Zoya Agarwal, but as she was sharing her connect with Mr. Ratan Tata. Captain, I was just, in fact, asking you about that photograph that you've shared with us, and it of course goes on to speak 1,000 words, but do share with us that moment which has been captured in that photograph with Mr. Tata.
I was flying him. I had the honor and the privilege, and honestly, the biggest blessing to fly him from New York to Delhi, a sector he doesn't travel very much. And when that happened, I obviously was in my fangirl zone, and I went and spoke to him. We spoke about business, the strategies, and aviation. It was a wholesome discussion, and I'm very passionate about business and aviation myself, and he's passionate about so many different paradigms. And towards the end, when I requested him for a picture, and I was getting up from my captain's seat, and he was like, "No, please do not get up. This is your throne, captain. You have earned it. So don't get up from there, Zoya. I will come behind you." I did not know how to react. I mean, that's the person who
Right.
we feel is the most successful person in probably daily day-to-day lives. What he's done, the kind of impact he's created, not just on the businesses but the humanitarian side. He has left an impact on every single one of us and touched our lives in one way or another. A person like that who says something so incredible, I was so inspired by him that I later on discussed with him, and I decided to do my MBA. After this discussion, I'm like, he's a pilot, he's into all these things. I wanted to be like him. And we have very similar philosophical mindset. And I was so inspired by what he was doing. And that just moment told me that leadership is not about you. Leadership is not about you leading. Leadership is about the people who you lead, how well you uplift them, how well you make them progress under your leadership, and how the whole organization
Right.
and the country and the world comes up
Right.
under you.
Absolutely, and going by everything that you're saying, which is so perfectly believable, that is what is the differentiating factor that makes Ratan Tata today the case study in ethical business practices. His humility and his magnanimity is what is the legacy that he leaves behind from all that he's given to this entire nation and the world. Many thanks to you, Captain Agarwal, for joining in.